What's going on YouTube? Today is December 8th, 2025, 6:43 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to ramble, but I'm also going to talk about how the government has stolen our silver, our money, numerous times. Like I said, fair warning, I'm going to ramble a little bit in the beginning of this video. I think it's important. You can skip ahead if you'd like a couple minutes. I don't know exactly when it will be. I don't edit. But there are a couple things I want to say. Number one, nothing in this video is financial advice. Do your own research, form your own opinions. Do what's right for you. Number two, please like, subscribe, hit the comment, or hit the like, leave a comment, show some love. We are trying to get this channel to 3,100 subscribers by Christmas Day, and we are not far away. 21 away at the time of this filming. Come on, y'all. Lost one today. That's the wrong direction. But I appreciate y'all. Real quick, I did pop in the Humble Stackers live stream last night. Cartier was there. OC, Humble. And dang it, I'm missing one. I think. My apologies. I have to go back and look. Anyway, go check out the Humble Stacker. They acted like I was a celebrity gracing them with my presence. It was cool to be in their chat, man. So OC, I did send you an email. You talked about wanting to do a live together. Let me know. This time of year, I have a lot less time off. Especially this year, people are out. I'm doing splits, so maybe we can come up with something. First ramble. I randomly thought today about the things I'm grateful for. It's not a bad life. I have 2 cars. One needs a battery. Okay, actually it needs 2 batteries because if you know anything about cars, when one battery goes bad and you replace them at the same time and it's a 2-battery vehicle, you replace them both. Not a big deal. Just haven't done it. I'm busy putting my money into silver. Could I do it? Yep. It's not a bad life. Today I had the day off. Went out to see a buddy of mine. He didn't have time to grab lunch. So I stopped at a place that I've been to a few times. Had a phenomenal lunch. A late lunch. It was 4:30. I guess you could call it an early dinner. It was amazing. And it was $20. 30 bucks with tip. 31 bucks with tip, whatever. Not a bad life, y'all. I go to work. I manage kids sometimes. But I love them. I try to make them better. And I imagine that's what parenthood is like. Okay? Want to choke them out? But you love them. They make you proud. And I don't have to live with them, so that's a plus. Also, I'm grateful for packages from Hero. I'm grateful for the fact that today I decided, there's some good deals on silver right now. I'm going to add another half tube of 90% half dollars, which is the equivalent of a full tube of dimes. So I ordered that today. I'm driving home from my late lunch and, it's raining. I wish we had some snow, but it's raining. And visibility out in the country was not great. And I had 2 thoughts. I'm driving and I can't see what's coming at me from the side because it's Christmas lights and darkness and rain all over the window. And I can't see the road in front of me very well. All I can see is the car in front of me. And I had to take it on blind faith that they were going the right way. And staying on the road, not hitting obstructions. And I had 2 thoughts at that point. Number one, I had the thought that that's how most people live their lives every day. On blind faith. And I had the second thought of I hope they know what they're doing. And living on blind faith kills me inside. Just a little bit. But I had to do it. And it worked out okay. All right, 2 tubes of dimes. Right there, baby. And a round. That's what? 3.5 and 3.5 is 7, a little over 7 ounces plus another ounce, so 8 ounces and change. We'll take that. So, I want to talk to you, and I took notes. Oh, I'm also grateful for, and yeah, it's the holidays, I'm going to treat myself. Guy at work picked us up some peppermint bark. Appreciate that. Took some notes. Bear with me. I'm going to have thoughts as I go over this. The government stole our silver. They stole our money. No shock, right? We've all heard of the crime of 1873. They called it the Coinage Act. Removing us from the bimetal standard. We were solely on a gold standard after that. The reason why they did this is because silver was the money of the people, right? You would be a miner. You would go to the mint. Back then, you would pull the ore out of the ground. You would go to any U.S. mint. You would take them your silver ore. They would test it for purity, and they would refine it into coins, silver coins, and charge you, like, I think it was a 2 or 3% fee, is what they say. That seems a pretty good deal. I mean, they got to get paid for their labor. 1873 changed that, and a lot of people didn't catch on right away. A lot of people back then couldn't read. Y'all got to remember that, okay? It was a different time, and that tape is sticky. And come on, man, these are always so friggin' hard to open. It took a while. It took probably a good year. And granted, this is history, so I can only go based off the information that I can find. I wasn't there, obviously. I'm old, but I ain't that old. A lot of people couldn't read. Okay, so sound of money. Took about a year. And it is said, by the way, Grant is the one that sold, the guy on the 50, he's the one that signed the order, and it contained, what was it? It contained 67 sections in that bill from Congress. And it is thought by some that he either read it briefly and didn't understand it, or that he knew what was in the bill and didn't care. Regardless, if you're the President of the United States of America, you need to know more than anybody what you're signing. You need to know everything you're signing, and you need to do it with absolute conviction, intensity, and intent. So, shame on Grant for that. Ignorance is no excuse, because your repercussions are still going on. It's unforgivable. I'm not going to open that. Well, maybe I will. Let me find my tubes so I can put the first tube away. These quarters. Where are my dimes? Dimes. Okay. So, a lot of miners didn't know about it. They'd go work their butts off in the field, or in the mines, excuse me. And farmers would do this too. They would take their silver to the mint to have put into coinage, and the mint would say, yeah, we're not going to do that. So overnight, your money became no longer recognized as money. Think about that. Back then, wealth was, by and large, gold and silver. Gold has always been, for brief exceptions in time, always been more expensive, than silver. It's always been the people's money. Imagine finding out you have all this money, because it's money, and you go to change it into dollar coins, silver dollars, so that you can spend it as money, and with the stroke of one idiot's pen and one corrupt Congress's pen, you have no net worth. Imagine what that would be like. To go from being wealthy, or at least having money, to being poor and having nothing. Like that. That's horrible. And that's what happened. So the result was prices of farm goods, which a lot of people back then were farmers. That was a major, if not the most, it was definitely one of the most common ways people made a living. Well, when people don't have money anymore, the price of your goods goes down because you can't sell it because no one can pay for it. So you have to sell it cheaper to those who can afford it. Supply and demand, right? Damn it, I dropped another dime. Every time I drop a dime. Drop a dime. I think I only dropped one that time. That sucks. Imagine that. Horrible. Horrifying. Criminal. So now you have to sell your goods for next to nothing compared to what you should be able to sell them for because nobody has any friggin' money because the government got involved, and that's never, ever, ever a good thing. The best thing the government could do for all of us is get out of the way, and that's just as true under any administration, and that's as true today as it was then, if not more. Government needs to get out of our way. So what was the result? Well, a lot of people couldn't keep their homes. A lot of people couldn't pay their bills. A lot of people had to sell their homes. The banks took them back. And these bankers did this because they had gold. So they wanted gold to be the end-all be-all. They wanted gold to be what everyone had to transact in because they controlled the gold because there was less of it. That's why they did this. Silver was too common among the people for them to control. So they had to remove it as a monetary asset. They had to demonetize it, essentially. It was still worth something, but it wasn't worth as much. So they removed us from the bimetal standard. People took out loans to pay debts from bankers, high interest loans, by the way, only payable in gold, which they didn't have. Or the loans they took out in silver, to be paid back in silver, now had to be paid back in gold, which they didn't have. In 1878, the Bland-Allison Act. I think that was from Richard Bland, who was I believe he was a House representative that was very, very pro-silver. He wanted this fixed immediately, but unfortunately didn't go where it should have. The Bland-Allison Act required, and this was signed in 1878, shortly after the Coinage Act. Okay, I guess 5 years. I mean, if that's shortly. It required government to spend $2 to $4 million a month. Again, this is history, so take it with a grain of salt. On silver, for the people to be minted into U.S. coins because people were in such an uproar about silver being removed as money. We never truly returned fully to the bimetal standard. This was kind of a compromise the government did to appease people, I guess you could say. And, hold on, I'm missing something here. And that's what it was. It was nothing more than a compromise. Sorry, I'm looking for my notes. Oh yeah, I want to talk about this too. Back to the 1873, there were 67 sections in that bill. This part, and it was just simply removing the word silver in the coinage, was hidden in section 14. I mean, it was buried deep. Absolutely ridiculous. So nobody had money. Now let's go fast forward to 1933. Okay? Wonderful Roosevelt. Some people give him a lot of credit. I think he sucked. He did not do any favors for the Depression. He did the gold, and you can say it wasn't a confiscation because they didn't come to your door. Okay, fine. He did the gold confiscation. I'm going to call it that. He also, in 1933 and in 1934, you know what else he did? The same thing with silver. Okay? There's that dime. Found it. That's a shiny one. He did the same thing with silver. He says, sell us your silver. It was Executive Order 6814. Okay? Before he did that, he signed another executive order just before that, forcing the government to purchase silver from the people for, what was it? I told y'all I'd be all over the board with notes. Oh, he had the government purchase silver for 50 cents on the dollar, for 50 cents, okay, an ounce. It was worth 45 cents at the time. People thought they were getting a good deal. So what do? They sell it thinking they're making 5 cents an ounce. And by the end of the same year, silver was 64 cents an ounce. So what he did before he banned silver outright, well, confiscated it, okay? What he did was he got all the people to fall for the lie of selling their silver to the government for profit. Like the government acquired a bunch of it and then makes it illegal to have outside of coinage and I think maybe it was jewelry on that one. I don't remember. But essentially, like this, wouldn't be able to have legally. I would give it up. Anytime the government says you don't need something, like a firearm, a specific firearm, you need that firearm. You need that specific firearm. Anytime a government says you don't need an accessory for that firearm, you need that. Anytime a government says you don't need silver or gold, you need silver and gold. Y'all see a theme here? Oh! The other thing I'm grateful for, too, is I got to spank some idiot in a Facebook group today that said white people make everything about race for black people. And then he said he blamed me for something and every other white person for something some lady at Cinnabon said or something. I don't know, which I pointed out to him was the exact definition of what he was arguing against. God damn, I'm tired. Okay. So, y'all see a theme here? On how the government dicks with our money and then takes it from us. How the government makes us believe that something holds no value and gets people to sell it to them, and then lo and behold it has value, but they say you can't have it. Y'all see a theme here with how bankers decided that, well, we have all the gold. The people can't afford gold, in any measurable numbers. Let's control the gold by demonetizing the silver. Because silver's money too, and the people have money in silver, we can't control all the money supply unless we control it through gold, which they don't have. Moral of the story is, you best be buying some silver. You best be holding some gold, platinum, other assets. Again, not financial advice. But y'all see what I'm doing. I show it on a regular basis. Y'all see what I'm putting in my wealth preservation fund, my retirement fund. You don't see everything. I've never filmed when I've had to sell metal a few different times. I don't film my IRA contributions. I don't film my stock purchases. But you see a great portion of what I do for my future. And I would venture to say, and I've said this before. I've also said, before you get in the game of gambling and markets and such, you need to have a foundation. I did that. I was physical silver only for years, and I moved into gold a little bit, and then I started, doing things in the stock market. But I would venture to say that the majority of my wealth is still probably in physical metals, and probably always will be. I just, there's something about it. There's so many upsides. There are some downsides. And anyone who says different is lying. Or just doesn't know. But the moral of the story is, if you are relying on government to save you, to help you, to be there for you, just like people have in the past, not just in these examples, during, weather catastrophes, during tragedies, during, you name it. If you are depending on government to save you and be there for you and provide a solution for you, you are sorely mistaken. Sorely. So stack some silver, stack some gold, stack some platinum, whatever you can do. Not financial advice. Do your own research. Not a financial advisor. build some wealth. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Do a deep dive on YouTube. There are some fantastic documentaries about the crime of 1873 and so much more. You know, our history of money. And let's talk about the 33 gold confiscation real quick. Even though they didn't go door to door, that's what it was. They took the money that the elites had, that the bankers had, and they took that away from the people too. Oh, we have all the gold. We want to control it. If we take your gold physically from you, now we control it completely. That's wrong. The price of gold. Shortly after that 1933 order, if you know your history, now don't quote me on this. I didn't look up the numbers for this video. I believe it was $35 an ounce, $30 an ounce, and then became $35 after the confiscation, or it was $35 and became $40. I forget. And $5 back then is a lot of money compared to now. And you have to remember that was what was in all of our money. Yeah, we had, Federal Reserve notes at the time, but we also had something called a gold and silver certificate, right? Where your little piece of paper was a claim check to get real money. And when they took your ability to get real money away, and then, of course, from 33 on, mostly, from 33 on, 1933 I'm talking, we had the ability to get real money in the form of silver, but you couldn't just go to the bank after the silver certificate ended and trade $1 on paper for $1 worth of silver. They control the money. And when they control the money, they control me, they control you, they control all of us. So if the government says you don't need something, chances are you need it, including this stuff. Keep stacking.